Hello and welcome to Zonie Living. I'm Bonnie Stevens. I am so excited to introduce you to an incredibly popular university professor who has an endless supply of energy, an unconventional way of teaching, and the unique ability to turn her students into bold, creative thinkers and executives around the world into more resilient, imaginative leaders. She's impacting lives in other ways too, and I can't wait for you to meet Dr. Ronda Beaman, joining us from San Luis Obispo, California. Hi, Dr. Beaman.
Hey, thanks for having me. What fun. And let's not forget, I was once a Zonie girl.
Oh, of course you were. You're an awesome Zony girl. You never are not a Zony girl if you're once a
Okay,
Zony
good,
girl. So you're still in the
good.
club. So I feel like you and I are still neighbors in Flagstaff, as a matter of fact, listening to Carole King. And I remember a slumber party you had where we had adult women spend the night, watch fun movies, and rock out to I Feel the Earth Move Under My Feet. And in those moments, which were years ago, we were imagining the future. And so now I want to talk about you at the time. We're teaching full-time at Northern Arizona University in the School of Communications. You were also taking night classes a couple of times a week toward your doctorate degree, and that was down at ASU, which Arizona State University was about a 2-hour drive away, which, if I remember correctly, you were making in your trusty Subaru, and you were raising 2 boys as a single mom. And that's a lot. That's a lot for anybody. But I would have been completely stressed out. But you and your household weren't just surviving, you guys were having a blast. In fact, you attracted the attention of USA Today as America's most creative family, and you were featured in People magazine. Tell us what was going on around your dinner table.
Well, you're making me tired all over again, just hearing all that. Um, well, back in the day, we just didn't have enough money to really go places. And as much as I loved Flagstaff and still do, I wanted my children to see more of the world. And I couldn't take them any place. So we actually brought the world into our living room.
Love it.
And what I decided to do were these creative dinners. I bought an international, Betty Crocker International Cookbook. We would pick a country based on what was going on at the university. Like if there was somebody coming back from Japan to show slideshows, or we had an African dance troupe coming to the Coconino Center. Whatever it was, I would base where we were going around that activity. And the deal was you had to dress like you thought people in that country dressed, but you couldn't spend any money. You had to come up with, one of the boys had to come up with the music from that country. They had to write it themselves. They
Wow.
had to come up, they had to come up with some art from that country while I cooked food from that country. And then we did that like once a month so that we could be citizens of the world. It was really fun.
Now, Rhonda, we didn't have internet then, so you couldn't just Google
Yeah.
Africa or Japan. You had to, your boys learned how to do some research.
We had that, trusty, books, the whatever they call it, the
Oh, the
Book of Encyclopedia
encyclopedias.
Britannica, the
Of course.
Britannica.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had that. And of course, then they just made stuff up. I mean, it wasn't legit, some of the costumes, but it was always fun. It was always very fun. We actually did Africa one night and went to the Coconino Center for the Arts and dressed as African dancers. And we kept them on when we went to the place. And people were like, okay.
You're fearless, absolutely fearless. Well, a couple of years later, the president of NAU, Northern Arizona University, asked you to move into the College of Education, and you were tasked with the daunting task of taking on the new 400 students who wanted to be teachers and to actually discourage the ones who really didn't have the skills to teach. Well, again, known for your creativity, you turned that huge classroom into a television show with live music even, and that class became so popular, more students wanted to get into it.
Yeah, it was quite something. But it doesn't everybody would ask me, God, that's so much more work. And oh, why do you it's not really. I mean, because the most important thing in your life is that you get some benefit out of the things you're doing. You shouldn't just do things just because you have to. And my argument is that even if you were working as a customer representative for Sears when people are mad about their refrigerators, there's a way to turn that into something creative and interesting. And that's all that I try to do. And man, if you give people something bigger to believe in than themselves, if you've got 400 students that want to be teachers or think they do, and you can give them the leeway to participate in their own growth as human beings and teachers, they will surprise you and delight you every time. So you can't just be creative by yourself. You have to bring people into, the whole maelstrom and have them see what the potential of is in when you really invest yourself in something.
Well, that's really well said. Thank you. Well, it's important to note that Dr. Beaman's style of teaching was so impactful that she was voted Teacher of the Year or something like that at 3 different universities. First at the University of Pennsylvania, where she earned Professor of the Year 3 years in a row. And then at NAU as Teacher Scholar of the Year, and then at Cal Poly, San Luis Obispo, where she is today. What can't be missed here is through her years in front of the classroom, as we were just describing, Dr. Beaman appears to be having so much fun in teaching and really everywhere else in her life. So Rhonda, you lead by example, of course. You encourage others to find their joy, their passion, their style, and to live like there's no tomorrow. Do you want to talk about that?
Well, there is no tomorrow. There's no promise, right? I don't know. I think a lot of it comes from the fact that I came from a background that was kind of tough. And I also had a really terrible car accident when I was 18 that I shouldn't have walked away from.
Wow.
And, it's just these wake up calls, if you
Sure.
use them properly, that just say, we're all so fragile. We're on this planet for a very short time. I think Cher said, it's not like you finish and you die and somebody goes, hey, that was a dress rehearsal. You can go back and do it again. That doesn't happen. And I've just been driven by that whole thought, I think, from the get go. And if you're not having fun, and not like fun, but if you're not if you're not enjoying what you're doing, then why are you doing it? And then find something that you can extend your bliss to. Look, it's not easy. I mean, we're sitting here talking about it. Man, there were times, Bonnie, and I'm sure you can relate, where I would take 10 minutes and just cry in the shower and just, I was exhausted,
Yeah.
and just try to figure it all out. What did I want to do next? And, how was I going to make it? How was I going to make it? And all those things that go through your mind. I'm human. But when at the end of the day, Gandhi said, every day, every night you die, and every morning is like a birthday.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you go, this is my birthday today. And how am I going to spend it? And heck yeah, I'll have a pumpkin muffin. Thank you very much.
Your message to others is always full of optimism, encouragement, and a true go for it attitude. Your TEDx talk is the perfect prescription for anyone suffering from a lack of joy in their lives. It's really so much fun to watch. And the title is Die Young as Late as Possible. Do you want to explain that a little bit?
Well, there's this great science that I got a hold of called neoteny. There was a book called Grow Younger, and I was about 40 at the time, and I thought, well, yeah, I'd like to do that.
Sure.
And I discovered this science that was so thick and so hard to understand that I studied it for about 10 years before I wrote the book called You're Only Young Twice. And it all stems from the idea that really we age inside our spirits first. And, it's that old thing, you don't grow old because you stop playing. You stop playing because you grow old, whatever that is, kind of thing, where you just go, I don't do that. I'm too old for that. And society makes you feel that way. And there's all these different things like awe and wonder and joy and singing. Did you know that even just people who hum live like 7 years longer than people who don't?
Oh, that's a great statistic. I love
Come
it.
on. I mean, it's just stuff like that you start to
Yeah.
uncover.
Yeah.
And it really is, we're meant to be these amazing, beautiful, extraordinary machines. And most of us don't even tap a tenth of it because of the way we're socialized, because of the way we're raised, because of all kinds of reasons. I don't know if you saw any of the Paralympics, and I don't know how anybody can say this without tearing up, so I'm gonna. But I watched the swimming, And there was a young man who was competing doing butterfly stroke with no arms. So he was swimming an Olympic event with no arms, just doing the feat. And in order to finish, he has to touch the pool with his head because he can't reach his arms, first place. And I'm watching that and I'm thinking, what can't we do? What can't we do if we have a big enough why, if we have a big enough, reason to do it? And I just don't think people care enough about themselves to, let that be their guiding light, that there's nothing I can't do if I really want to do it.
Wow, yeah, that is just incredible. Well, more recently, I saw a video of your students performing their leadership lessons at Cal Poly. How do you get business students to loosen up and have fun with their assignments? How does that help them learn as well?
Well, again, the die young as late as possible really is about keeping your spirit alive, right?
Yeah.
And I've heard over and over and over again from students who now, some of my students are, parents and middle-aged people, and they're now out in the world seeing how difficult it really is to remain optimistic, to remain engaged, to remain creative and interested in life. It's difficult. Being an adult, being a human being is hard. Like I said, I'm not sitting here like some, Pippi Longstockings going, it's all great. It's not. It's hard. But I think, and I've been told that over and over and over again, they watch me and they go, I want a piece of that. I want some magic in my life. I want some energy. And she has so much energy. That's how people describe me, energy. I'm not intelligent. I'm a little upset about that.
I describe you as intelligent and full of energy.
Thank you. So I think a lot of it for me, as being a teacher, I take my job as a role model really seriously. And I think I am role modeling the very kinds of things that I'm trying to teach them. And I think that helps a lot.
Yeah, I think so too. And that's exactly it. You inspire them just in your actions. And it's no surprise that you were the first recipient of the National Education Association's Excellent in the Academy Art of Teaching Award. Congratulations. That's amazing. I want to switch gears now and talk about how, as a leadership training coach, you are the Chief Creative Officer of the major creative force for the international research and consulting firm Peak Learning. You travel the world inspiring executives to build up their adversity quotient and to adopt a grittier approach to business and life. And I'd love it if you could give us an example of how you do that.
Well, we were lucky enough to create a technology that you can actually measure how people handle the tough stuff in their lives and actually change it within a day. And that comes from all this research from Martin Seligman out of the University of Pennsylvania on learned helplessness. And there's all kinds of science that goes into it. But basically, we would go to these, motivational speakers, and you'd feel good for maybe an hour. And then you'd go back to work and be back where you started from. You hadn't really, and it almost felt worse. It's like a cup of coffee. I'll take a cup of coffee to have some energy, and you feel good for a little while, and then you hit that lower point faster because you've got that caffeine drop. Motivational speaking a lot of times is like that. We were really looking for something more, something that would actually change somebody's day, life, and came up with this technology. And it's all based on really hard science, but the basis of it is you're hardwired to respond to the tough stuff in life the way you saw it being handled in your own home, with your own, role models and things like that. And if you were brought up in an environment where people thought that the world was tough and they couldn't do anything about it and how awful everything is, you probably have that as your default setting. And we can actually change that default setting. And we've heard over and over again from people all over the world how it helps not just them. Again, going back to the idea that, being an adult is hard. Going to the same job for 40 years is a tough thing to do. But they go home and talk about it with their kids, and their kids start to figure out how to handle the tough stuff better. And it's just really rewarding work, I'll tell you.
Oh, wow. Yes. And that, as you were mentioning, you work a lot with sometimes with your husband, Dr. Paul Stoltz, another incredible business coach and leader. He's the author of Adversity Quotient, Turning Obstacles into Opportunities, and also the book Grit, the New Science of What It Takes to Persevere, Flourish, Succeed. And you are the author of several books, 5 books, including Little Miss Merit Badge. I think this was your first one.
It was my first. Well, actually, You're Only Young Twice was my first one.
Oh, okay.
But I had to wait till my parents were no longer alive to write Little Miss Merit Badge, if
I
you
get
know
it.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and on that note, you talk about how a dysfunctional childhood made you an accomplishment addict. And
Yeah.
it's super fun, and I am sure a lot of people can relate to this. I just love it. Do you want to talk about it just a little bit?
Well, I needed to be seen. I just needed to be seen, and I wasn't seen at home. And so school started it off, where I was like, who would like to be school monitor? I will. So I'd stand up. I'd stand up at the board and go, Bonnie Stevens, you are talking. Write your name on the board. I loved it. I loved it. And then I got into Girl Scouts, and Bonnie, I earned every single badge in the whole spectrum of badges that a Girl Scout could earn. I had 2 sashes. I was a patrol leader. I looked like the Barbie version of General Patton walking around school. I was so proud, and people be not my friends, not that I had any, but the adults were like, wow, you're going places. Wow, I think that's what started it. I really liked it. I liked earning things. I liked, being better than I thought I could be. I liked teachers picking on me to do stuff. I just started to really thrive on that. And that's what I mean by an accomplishment addict. Whenever anything needed to be done, whenever any contest came, whenever anything where I might win, then I would do it.
Well, I was a Girl Scout too, and I had my Girl Scout handbook, and I remember trying to achieve all those badges, and every time I'd look at them, they were hard. I don't know how you did it. Honestly, there was like a basket weaving badge, and I thought, well, surely I can figure that out. And it was about going out and finding sticks, and
That should be your first clue that you're mentally well and I'm not. Okay, I'll find sticks.
I'm very impressed. I'm very proud of you. Rhonda, you also wrote My Feets in These Shoes, and Feets is spelled Feats, and it became an instant bestseller. And now you're working on another book called Book of Letters?
Yeah.
You told me you are a letter doula. I love that. I think that means that you help people give birth to letters
Correct.
that they want to write or letters that they need to write. Tell me about that.
Oh, thanks for asking about that. We just launched the website this week.
Oh, exciting.
So it's letterdoula.com, because shock, there's nothing else out there like that. I only had to pay 99 cents for the site. Okay.
Awesome.
So, I started a nonprofit here in San Luis Obispo called Dream Makers.
Yes.
And my girlfriends and I formed this thing. 8 of us put $100 in. And what our goal was to make lifelong dream come true for someone who's terminally ill, who's 18 or older. So it's like a Make-A-Wish almost for adults, but we called it Dream Makers, because when your life gets cut short or is unexpectedly terminated, whatever it might be, and you've had this lifelong dream and haven't had a chance to make that come true, I think that's a pretty terrible place to be. So we've made so far 85 dreams come true. And most people don't want things for themselves. They want experiences with their family, or they want to go, like, to Disneyland is a big one.
Wow.
We have a 30-year-old right now who has metastatic colon cancer, and she wants to get well enough to go eat all the weird foods at Disneyland. That's her life.
Aw.
Yeah, that's her lifelong dream.
Aw.
So on the heels of that, I have a friend who's writing last letters up at Stanford University for people who are dying. And I just took all of that and kind of moved it forward a little bit and just thought there's so many people who would like to write a letter to maybe a parent or an ex-boyfriend, or it doesn't even have to be a last letter, but a lot of people don't feel like they have the kind of words to say, or how would you express this emotion. So I'm going to help them get those letters out, because I think it's really important to communicate those kinds of things to the people that you want to communicate with. So I'm going to help, like you said, try to give those letters birth. And it goes alongside this book of letters that I'm writing, which is letters I should have written, but never did for any number of reasons. And I just have to tell you one real quick, because they're not all serious, letters. One of them's to Wallace and Ladmo, by the way.
Oh, love Wallace and
Yeah,
Ladmo right here in Phoenix. Yeah.
Wallace and Ladmo gave me the first idea about shtick.
And Pat
like,
McMahon.
Yeah, and you can make little skits and things, and that's what I started doing in my teaching. I was like Wallace and Ladmo. But I wrote a letter to Pam Kesey. And Pam, if you're out there anywhere, I want you to get ready for this letter, because Pam Kesey and I were really, really good friends in the 4th grade, and she was beautiful, and she had long blonde hair, and all the boys liked her, and and I was like,
That's a good look too.
Yeah, I was class monitor. That's all I have to say. And so, people at school would be going, "Oh, you're so lucky to have Pam for a friend. She's so pretty." And because I wasn't a very good person in the 4th grade, and because I needed to grow as a human being, I started going, people would come to me and go, "Oh, she's so pretty." I'd go, "She wears a girdle." She wears a girdle? I don't even know how I came up with it. Yeah. Oh, yeah, she doesn't. That's not her figure. She has a girdle. This is my friend I'm doing this to. So I wrote a letter to Pam Kesey, and I apologized for telling everyone she wore a girdle in the 4th grade.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's intelligent. That's really intelligent for a 4th grader to come up with that. That's a good one. So here's another cool thing that we should know about you. You won the 2018 Fitness Idol competition, and you continue to teach group fitness classes. You also teach a weekly exercise class for people of all ages with special needs.
Yes.
Is that out on the beach or inside and outside?
No, it's televised globally. So it goes to over 80 schools around the world for special needs people. And these schools are usually in office buildings, and they don't have the facilities to go outside and play on the playground or take walks or whatever the case may be. So the CEO of this company hired me and to film these half-hour workouts. Some are Wacky Wednesdays, where you dress in costumes and have a theme, and a lot of them are just helping people discover their balance, movement, just get them away from their desks for half an hour a day, which is really, incredibly important. So yeah, that's how that all came about. And then I still teach a guys boot camp. I have 30 competitors on my team running the Morro Bay Triathlon this year. And last year we took first place. So come on, guys, come on. We're going to try to take first place again. And then I do a women's, we call it bar boot camp. So it's kind of based on bar movements, but we're also trying to get them to lift more weights and things like that. So.
Oh, that's fantastic. Yeah. Well, I know fitness has always been important to you. You told me that your role model is actress and 80s fitness guru Jane Fonda. And anyone who remembers the 80s might also remember her aerobics videos. And you were actually hired by Jane Fonda herself to teach aerobics. Tell us about that.
I went into her studio. My dad was trying to get rid of me, and he said,
Going back to your dysfunctional
going back to
childhood.
my childhood, yeah.
Yes.
And he said, Jane Fonda was actually providing cars for a movie that my dad was providing cars for a movie that Jane Fonda was in. And he said she opened up an exercise studio down on Van Nuys Boulevard. She just opened it like, a few weeks ago. You should go down there and work out. So I was like, okay. So I went, and oh my God, I loved it. That's when I discovered aerobics, like all of us. We had never thought about it, and did the workout, and I just thought, I love this. And so I went back the next morning, and it was her teaching. It wasn't her the night before, but it was her teaching. And, I'm in there with the rest of the students waiting, and she comes up and she would say things like, "Hi, I'm Jane Fonda." And I'm like, okay. Like, she was just the nicest, most down to earth person. And then after we had finished working out, she came by me and she said, "Hold on a second, okay?" And I'm like, I paid. And she came and she asked me about myself, and I was telling her, blah, blah, and all this kind of stuff. And she said, "Well, you do this really well. Would you be interested in working with me on this?" Okay, sure. Well, I don't know, Jane. I'm really busy.
Yeah. What are you going to say about that?
Let me see if I can pencil you in. Okay. So that's how it started. And then I just kind of went from there. So yeah.
Oh, that is incredible. You have so many great stories. I never get tired of talking to you. It's just so much fun.
She's still our role model today. She's 87 years old and still fighting for what she thinks is right. Doesn't mean you have to agree with her, but someone that has the gumption, and especially back in the day when women were, not appreciated for speaking up.
Mm-hmm.
I just have all day for her. She's incredible.
Yeah,
she's an incredible person.
I decided I was a huge fan when she came on a few years ago on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon, and she had some work done. And most people, including me, would not go on national television with a bandage over my lip and, announcing to the world that, yes, I've just had work done. And she did the interview, and she was gracious and funny, and you didn't even think about it. But that sure won my support continuously since the 80s. So, yeah, she's great.
She's something else.
And you mentioned Cher, too. Of course, we love Cher. Yeah.
Same reason. I've had plastic surgery. What the hell do you care?
Yeah, exactly. I saw her. I think she was in her 70s when she was performing in Las Vegas, which had to be grueling and just incredible.
Incredible.
Sounding great.
And so different than someone like Demi Moore, who says stuff in an interview like, "I don't know, my body just got better after every birth I had." Oh, shut
Mine
up.
too. Yeah.
That happens to all of us, Demi.
That happens.
We all get more beautiful after we've had babies. Okay.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Ronda Beaman, you are an extraordinary person, so much fun to talk to, and an amazing role model for living life to the fullest and helping others achieve their goals and dreams. I want to thank you so much for being our guest on Zonie Living today.
You are, just speaking to me how I feel about you. So Thank you so much for having me on, and I hope to do it again soon, and come on out to San Luis Obispo.
I will take you up on that invitation. Thanks so much, Rhonda. Okay. Dr. Ronda Beaman is an internationally recognized expert on leadership, resilience, health and wellness, education, and coaching. She has conducted research in a host of areas, written a number of academic articles and books, and won numerous awards. You can find her at peaklearning.com, and you can read more about Rhonda at flagstaffbusinessnews.com and quadcitiesbusinessnews.com. Here are 3 of my takeaways for success in business and life from professor and peak learning leadership coach Dr. Ronda Beaman. 1, when you look in the mirror, you really need to love, like, and respect that person. 2, seek out the people you admire and learn from them. And 3, there is always time to do what you really want to do. This is Zonie Living, Business, Adventure, and Leadership. I'm Bonnie Stevens.